As I'm sure you guys are all aware, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was victorious in her race. She was a Justice Democrat. Now, Sargon of Akkad had a video that he made about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It was entitled Red Cortez, which is obviously a play on, red being the color for the USSR, communism. But I'm going to be talking about the video that he made because I think that he made a lot of missteps. And I also do sense a feeling of, malicious intent is what I feel for sure. 100% I feel it. But so in the beginning, he actually gets right the difference between democratic socialism and social democracy. And as I've been, I've made multiple videos now talking about how Bernie Sanders, Young Turks, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, everybody who's saying they're a democratic socialist, aside from the DSA themselves, is not a democratic socialist. So Bernie Sanders is a social democrat. He doesn't want to overthrow the capitalist system. He wants to maintain it, but just increase the welfare state. That's it. That's not being a democratic socialist. Democratic socialism, the definition is a socialist economy alongside a political governance of democracy, whether that be direct or representative, whatever. So he does get that right. And yes, Bernie and everybody else who's been saying it is wrong. They're not actually democratic socialists. They're social democrats. And I, tried to tell you guys that, hey, if you do this exact video that we're talking about here is the problem that we're going to have with this. Now, of course, for some reason, he's able to distinguish Bernie Sanders, saying that, yeah, he's a soc dem, he's not a dem soc, but he doesn't do the same for Ocasio-Cortez. Now, it seems one of those main reasons is that one of the groups that endorsed her campaign was the Democratic Socialists for America, the DSA. Now, I'm actually not going to blame him much for bringing up and presenting what the DSA aligns with, because if you were to put yourself in the shoes of you're looking at someone on the right who's a candidate who is, backed by a group, I think it's totally fair to look at what the group aligns with if they endorse, your campaign and they're a big part of your campaign. But the DSA is unbelievably insane. Okay, they say they want to abolish prisons, they want to abolish profit, they want to abolish borders. They are the most insane group I've seen easily on the left, hands down, right? Unbelievably crazy. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez does not align with those beliefs. And he sort of uses this clip of her saying that she's willing to compromise. But I don't think what he understood is what she's talking about is, if we're not able to get a single-payer Medicare for all system, I'm willing to compromise if we're to move forward. Not that, I'm willing to compromise my democratic socialist overthrowing the system of capitalism. That's not what the fuck she was talking about. That's just wrong. So what do I have, what evidence do I have that she's not a democratic socialist? The real definition that she's a social democrat. Now let's take a look at a little clip, a short clip of what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says about democratic socialism versus actual socialism.
First of all, there's a huge difference between socialism and democratic socialism. Every working class American in this country should have access to dignified health care, should actually be able to see a doctor without going broke. It means you should be able to send your kids to college and trade school, and no person should feel precarious and unstable in their access to housing.
So as you can see, she states that there's a big difference, and that's because she doesn't know what the fuck democratic socialism is. And so she thinks that what she's talking about is social democracy, but really what she's saying democratic socialism, but what she means to say is there's a huge difference between social democracy and socialism. There isn't a big difference between democratic socialism and socialism. Democratic socialism just, make sure that there is a democracy in place. I mean, you still have the same economic system, so it's not that big of a difference. But what she's talking about is social democracy. Because if she was a real advocate for democratic socialism, she wouldn't say there's not a big difference. Because there's not a big difference. There's not a big difference. And so she doesn't align with what the DSA says. She's never advocated for abolishing prisons or abolishing profits or any of that type of stuff. But, what Sargon of Akkad talks about with abolishing ICE, where he's talking about, oh, she wants to abolish ICE, so people want to abolish borders or something like that. That's complete bullshit. ICE was formed in 2003. They're clearly abusing their power. I'm not even sure if I'm in the camp of abolishing ICE, but the idea that because you want to abolish an immigration agency that was created in 2003, when the agency that actually protects the border is the Border Patrol, the U.S. Border Patrol, not ICE. Like, the idea that that's, oh, you want open borders. What are you talking about, man? That's the biggest straw man on the entire planet. And he, Venezuela is the card that's played. Oh, I mean, that's pretty insane. But he also, says, The Hill makes the statement when it's just an opinion article on their site. So there could have been another opinion on there that I would have brought up and been like, The Hill says blank, but that's just an opinion article. That's not representative of the entire site. That's not their editorial board. That's not the website saying this is what our, opinion is. That's just one opinion article on there. So I don't understand why he brought that up. That didn't make sense. But overall, a theme that I got from this video was fear-mongering. And I'm sorry to say, Sargon, but all I see from you is just massive fear-mongering about the left. And there's always this malicious intent of attempting to attack the left in some way, shape, or form. So you have these really fringe, virtually non-existent amount of people when you take an actual Democratic Party, right? And you're talking about DSA saying that dumbass shit. And you think that that's somehow in any shape or form representative of the Democratic Party or the left at all, which is just false. It's incorrect. But, when you're talking about doing that, there's clearly malicious intent there. And there's no way around that. And so when you're talking about, oh, there's these fringe guys, so we should do, let's have, he makes it like the left, we need to make it so that becomes the majority opinion and we need to see them die off. Do you have any idea what something like that would entail? That would entail a complete derailing of the, sort of attack, the sort of a thing that he wants to happen to the left would be a literal neutering of the left for decades to come. A complete neutering of the left because he wants something to happen that doesn't make any sense. Why would you want when the majority of people don't believe in certain things, abolishing borders, abolishing prisons? Why would you want that to become? That just means you want to see bad things for the left. That's what it is. Okay? The majority of the Democratic Party and the left are liberals in America. Liberals. Left wing. In fact, in our Overton window, it's unbelievably, weak because the vast majority of Democrats are not even on the level of other European countries. A lot of corporate Democrats don't support Medicare for all. A lot of Democrats don't support, single-payer healthcare at all. Making college free or affordable like other European countries have. It's, so it's insane. But this is just massive fear-mongering coming from this, and it's taking this fringe group and saying, we need to have everyone convinced of that, and then conflations like abolishing ISIS, abolishing borders doesn't make any sense. And when you say something like that, it just shows that you're not educated on the topic at hand, because if you're not aware that it's the Border Patrol that protects the border, number one, and number two, that ICE was only founded in 2003, and you think that somehow abolishing ICE means abolish borders, I mean, I don't even know what to say. But then you're wrong. It's bad. But this video overall was really, really bad, and I'm really disappointed with what I saw.